when I do something on the Instagram that like makes me laugh, like, and I get minorly obsessed with it, like sometimes it's a real dud and sometimes it's like, no, I'm going with it. And I just started editing pictures of Drake and Evan Handler and just was like, this is a joke I'm gonna force, you know?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you forced it. It's so good. I want merch. I want merchandise. Let's just begin with complete transparency and admit that I thought that I had lost the audio file for this interview. I procrastinated with it, and then I did other interviews, recorded other guests, and just did cutting and promos, and thought, no, I've got to do a deep dive and search for this. Maybe it's on the other computer. What do I do? And I found it this morning, and I'm so happy because I was reminded of what a great chat it was. I had a lot of fun with these guys. So if you are unfamiliar with who the Bradshaw boys are, they are three dudes from New York City: Kevin, Cory, and Jon. And they began watching Sex and the City, the TV show, back in, I think it was 2018. And they just decided to start a podcast of this show, watching the show, basically watching it, then reporting back to the listeners about what they had seen. And so they break down topics, they break down through lines, they break down character and character development. And they have a lot of fun along the way. They have done episodes with guests, and their famous JTB, Just the Boy episodes are equally as fun to listen to. They are a riot. If you haven't, go and follow them at the Bradshaw Boys on Instagram and find them on wherever you get your podcasts and take a listen. You don't necessarily have to be a fan of the show at all to listen to these guys' take on it. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. What I love most about listening to these guys is that it is from the perspective of three dudes. This is a show that I have been a massive fan of for years, and everything to do with New York City I love. And so it was with ease that I listened to these guys. They did get me through my marathon that I ran around here nearly a year ago. I listened to a few episodes back to back just while I was going along. And listen, at the Bradshaw Boys, Instagram, thebradshawboys.com. Enjoy. Is swearing okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I know you well enough that swearing is okay, but it's funny because I've interviewed, you're my third one. So I've only done 3 or 2. And you know these people online, and you like listen to their content and stuff, and then you chat to them and it's polite zone.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, hello. When you're like talking about people jizzing in coffee while you're going for a run, and like and all of a sudden you're like, do you mind if I say fuck? So I ran a marathon to you guys.
Oh my God.
I saw that on the message. That's crazy.
Yeah, my marathon got cancelled in Canberra, which is about 3 hours south of where I am, because of COVID. So I decided to go around where I live and run it. And you guys kept me sane.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
What a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
How many episodes did you listen to during the marathon?
The marathon is blurry when I think back to it, but I think it was 3. I can't tell. I knew you were going to probably ask me which one I was listening to.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember because I listen to you when I run all the time. So.
Oh,
That's so funny.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I can't remember, but I reckon I listened to about 3 episodes.
Cool.
There was a point in time where I had to just have complete silence, but that wasn't anything to do with you.
No, I cannot imagine.
I like listening to podcasts when I run too. So I get that some people like music. If I listen to music, I end up running too hard and I get shin splints.
Yes.
Like I'm too into it. So I like just putting on like a history podcast and just going.
Well, I have questions for you. For you. Okay.
I don't want to waste my time on this question, but I want to ask you. Will you do The Sopranos? Yes or no? Tell me.
I feel like we have talked about like other things to do, and we have talked. I think we should do at least one episode of it, because we talked about an episode called the Pine Barrens episode, which has been like one of the like great episodes of television. Like, and we've talked about this on other podcasts. So we haven't really talked about it. I think when we've talked about doing second season stuff, we'll do other shows. I don't know if we'll do all of The Sopranos though, because it is a show about Sex and the City. So,
well, do you know
but that's my answer. I don't know.
I feel like an interesting answer to that is like how difficult it's been to put our finger on like what else is comparable to Sex and the City, because in some ways like you would think it's like, oh, it's romantic and it's like about the city, and you would think that there are a bunch of other shows like it, but then when you actually think about your audience and what you'd want to do, and you realize like it's kind of in a level of its own, in the same way that I think like, I don't know, there's like certain bands that there's stuff that's like kind of like it, but you can't actually get pinpoint that exact sound or something. And so we've toyed with the idea of doing things that are like kind of adjacent, and then I feel like we've also been like, let's just follow our heart and be like, if we're interested in it, people will find people that are also interested in it. But
I think something that we talked about that I think would be really interesting is taking other TV shows and watching like 10 to 20 episodes of those TV shows. So rather than going all the way through, taking the 15 top episodes, or like doing a season and watching that. I mean, I would love to do Sopranos because I've never seen a single second of it. But I think part of this experience is learning the characters and getting to know the characters so well. So like just doing a episode of a show might not mean as much if you don't know anything about the characters, you know? So.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually, because it does take a while to get to know them, and it takes a while to, and even I guess for the writers to introduce different layers to a character. So if you were doing one, so you probably, I can see that. Actually, it's really funny, Kevin, because I wrote down, you should compare shows, stack them up. So you should maybe, take an episode of something, stack it up to sort of like a through line that might have been in Sex and the City, and then maybe talk about some sort of, because I like the sociology of it. I like the where we were then, how far we've come, maybe how far we've gone backwards. So that might be a good idea.
Totally.
Yeah. I hadn't seen The Sopranos either, but who loves it? Which one of you? Kevin? Okay, because I got the idea to watch it from you guys, and I can't remember what it was, but something when I was running. And where did you guys actually meet each other? Where did you first meet?
We all three kind of have different stories, sort of, but like we're all in this like big group of friends, and there's an episode that we had that had Harlan J. Alford, the dancer that was on. He's also in that group of friends, but like we all kind of met through different people. But through some friends of ours that were also musicians, they introduced me and Kevin years ago, because we were both comedians that were friends with them. So that's how I met Kevin. And then I met Jon when I got like introduced to that larger group of people, and he was friends with a lot of those other people. So that's how I met them. But you guys,
I think, Kevin, like, I feel like we met through Harlan, right?
We kind of, I think we kind of met through Harlan, and I feel like each of us separately, like me to Jon, me to Cory, Cory to Jon, like we all have our own, I don't know, like I feel like anytime you meet someone special in New York, like it has its own cinematic quality in your brain, and like, you know, me and Jon just one night like had talked a few times, but we had one epic night where we just randomly stayed out till like 5 and had breakfast sandwiches as the sun came up. And like it is funny because you meet, I don't know, it's kind of rare. It's not rare to like make a new friend when you're older, but it's funny doing this because we could have just been like good friends, and then but instead of like meeting for a drink to be like, oh yeah, me and Jon are buds, you know, now we just have logged literally hundreds of hours of not just talking on microphones, but like scheduling and talking about what guests you want to have and why, and your perspectives on love. And then we turn the mics off, and then we talk about what friendship means and what marriage means. And it's like, you know, you kind of accidentally go from being good friends to like kind of like very intimate friends just by doing a dumb project like this that kind of joins you together in a way that you're like, oh my gosh, like we kind of have some war stories now. So
yes,
Totally.
I agree. Yeah, it's just not like in passing that you've met someone. It's really getting to know them, and not just being friends, but something on a bit of a deeper level. So yeah, hey, I listened to that episode with Harland just 2 days ago, and I was getting really like, you guys were nearly starting to argue about whether giving someone flowers is creepy if you're not into and I was listening to it, and I was cooking dinner, and I was a bit like, Mum and Dad, can you stop fighting now?
What's your take on that? What do you think about
okay, yes. I was ruminating over this, and I completely understand where you're coming from, because but I don't think it can ever be, I don't know, I don't think it can ever be creepy. I don't think it can ever, unless...
Well, Kevin was the one arguing that it was creepy, right?
Yeah, Kevin thought it was creepy.
Kevin planted the creep flag?
Yeah, I mean, I can
planted
see
it proudly.
I hate slitting on the fence, though, but now I've got to choose between Mum and Dad, and I can't do that because I love you both.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, Harlan and Kevin and all four of us get in epic off the mic arguments.
Yeah, totally.
Kevin, Harlan, and I lived together over the summer, and Cory came up and visited, and most nights will be spent drinking whiskey, getting into some sort of argument, whether it's what the best movie is, what the best backgammon move is, something like that.
It's the best.
I will say, and this is interesting for your podcast that you'll learn too. It's like, it's such a different thing to talk. I don't know. You become very aware that you're talking to a stranger. Like, we've been doing these Zoom pods, and then all of a sudden, like, Willie Garson's face will show up, and then you realize, like, oh my gosh, like, it is a weird social interaction to. It's way different when it's just us three being able to say and do whatever we want. And then when you watch an episode of TV with like a new person who's a stranger, like when we're doing episodes in person, people would come over to like our apartments, and we'd be sitting there, and you're like, can we get you water? Like it's such a weird thing, because you don't know them. And then you have to sit in silence and watch TV. And it's been really fun to watch it together and let loose together. And then it's also been fun to learn how to be ourselves and have our own funny comedic dynamic, but then also not alienate the person and include them. Yeah. But also not just be quiet and be like, oh yes, we're a very serious podcast. Like it's just like different muscles that it's been interesting to learn.
It's so good to listen to. Yeah, I mean, your tangents, like having ADHD, your tangents, I would, like, if you were like, you know, a podcast where three guys sit around and just go on tangents, I'd be like, subscribe, because it's so good.
The highest right there.
It is. It's amazing, because, and I love like a hard left. I now incorporate that into my vernacular. Like, I'm sorry, I just took a hard left when I'm at work. That's great. It's so good, because like, and it was like a hard left.
Our very first hard left, I remember what it was. We were talking about Big and Aiden or something. What? No, that was just a bit off subject. The first actual hard left was when you one of you asked a question about like Big and Carrie or something. And I was like, okay, so Jerry Garcia, when he was in Grateful Dead, and it was like, what? And I was like, trust me, it ties in.
Yeah, you've got to, I know. Trust, I promise I'm going to come back. Like, it'll get there.
I start here and then I travel back to the point. But
yeah. Hey, I missed the official naming ceremony of Harry, the cream cheese puppy.
Oh, it started.
I think it happened
on Instagram, right?
Right, Kevin?
I saw it, but I don't know how it came about.
I think it happened on Instagram because Drake. I was probably looking at Instagram. I follow Drake on Instagram, and I follow Drake's father on Instagram as well. Great follow for Instagram. His name's Dennis Graham. And
what's his handle? What's his Instagram handle?
Yeah, I'm gonna write it.
Dennis Graham is, but Drake's is Champagne Poppy, and I just thought it was so funny because all of his other, obviously he's famous enough that if you want to find Drake on Instagram, there's no one that's like, I can't find him. Like but I just found it so funny that, you know, his Twitter is Drake, all his other things are Drake, and then his Instagram is Champagne Poppy. And I just like got such a kick out of it. And it's like typical Drake that it's like, it's almost cool, but it's also lame. It's like really like lame and cool at the same time. And so then I think I was just making a post about, about him. And I was just like cream cheese Poppy. And then just when I do something on the Instagram that like makes me laugh, like, and I get minorly obsessed with it. Like sometimes it's a real dud and sometimes it's like, no, I'm going with it. And I just started editing pictures of Drake and Evan Handler and just was like, this is a joke I'm going to force, you know?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you forced it. It's so good. I want merch. I want merchandise. Like,
oh my God.
I'd wear the hat doing a marathon.
Well, I think the ultimate thing is we gotta come. I think we talked about this. We have to come up with a line of cream cheese. Evan, like,
oh gosh, it'd be so good.
Oh, you were saying it's good. I thought that John was getting exasperated. Like,
no, that would be perfect.
Yeah, you should.
The cream cheese Poppy cream cheese.
It's so good.
What kind of flavors would we start with?
First one, scallion. I feel like there'd be no sweet ones. They would all be the smelliest, like most Jewish fishy ones, like white fish,
we would have to have a white
cheese.
Fish salad. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then you would have people like, I don't really like it. You're like, well, it's an acquired taste, the cream cheese Poppy. Like, it's not for everyone, but you've got to have a mature palate for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, if you don't like it, take a caper and get out of here. Right?
It's used teabag flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I do like to force jokes as well. Like, especially if it's lame, especially if it's a bit weird, force it. It's going to work somehow.
I mean, that's one of the fun things about doing a podcast with your friends is like the things that if you were by yourself or you're trying to make funny, like you just naturally, I don't know, like even to our listeners, like we have our own inside jokes and then we just have just a large group of people that you have inside jokes with. And I know my favorite podcasts are like that as well, that you're like, oh, cool. Like you take on some of their language and you have like a shorthand that you communicate. And I think that is one of the strengths of any comedic podcast that I don't think we set out to do it, but I've noticed it in other ones that you're like, oh, like once you have, like, it's kind of lonely at first when you're just like the three of us putting podcasts into the world and just your friends are like, good job with your project. But then like, it is pretty cool. Like once you actually have listeners, you really appreciate them because you're used to not having them. And then it can be really, really fun to get more into the things that you wanted to do in the first place, which is like, just have like a little fun group to hang out with and like your own little jokes and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the parts that's been like the most joyful for us to just, I don't know, create our own little jokes that to us were stupid. Like Cory in doing Steve talk, like, and John wanted to, before we even started, he's like, when we get to Steve, I want to do a side project called Steve Talk. And then Cory and his girlfriend at the time made the theme song. And then we just like went with it. And then people are like, you haven't done Steve Talk in a while. And we're like, oh, that wasn't like, no one was supposed to care. And but we're glad they do.
And speaking of like the in jokes, the whole reason we made the song is I was like, it would be so fun to make this song to surprise Jon and Kevin with.
Oh my gosh.
Steve Talk. So it was like, it wasn't even meant to be a segment. It was just like, oh, this will be fun to play this tonight. And then that's the best thing of doing anything like this, I feel like, because you end up just all the surprises that happen and then become like part of the life and you weave it in there and then you just it's great.
Yeah, I think what I'm learning from doing this, I mean, like I have questions, I have things, I have so much shit written down here, but I remember my first, like it was ages ago, I sound like such a dickhead. Like I remember my first podcast, but I do. And I was pissed off because I didn't follow all the questions that I wanted to get. And then the second time I was like, if it happens organically, That's the best way. And I think like, and it's easy to listen to. Like if when you're apologizing for going off on your tangents, as a listener, you're like, no, please don't apologize because it's so good. I think that's something for me to learn and get better at, to just go, all right, don't get disappointed at all the things that you had planned. Like, and it could, you know, and it could lead to somewhere else. But what you said before about following your heart, like you like something, someone else is bound to connect with that. And don't try and, you know, we've been told forever, like, be yourself. And you're like, yeah, but no one will like what I like. But yeah, like being organic is the best way forward.
Of course, yeah.
And in this whole crazy year that we've had, you know, people getting together like this online and, you know, like you said, being able to talk to Willie Garson. Like I remember where I was when I was listening to that one. I was excited for you, not to mention when you're on the phone to like Sarah Jessica Parker and, you know, Kristen and stuff, like that kind of connection, the availability of what we can do now. Yeah, it's great. It's endless. So I went off on my own hard left then. I don't know.
That's great. No, that's great.
No, I think also with what you're saying with that too, like it's fun having a project that has like a goal to it, which is like to get a hold of these people, because then you know, when we were able to unlock those doors, it like literally took years of like just figuring out like a detective, like how would we get a cast member on, and so then we get to share in that excitement with like the listeners, not just like ourselves, but everyone else is like, you did it, and we're like, yeah, and we're excited to give that to the listeners, and they're excited for us. So it's kind of a cool reciprocal relationship.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Australian suburbs, true or false? Okay, I'm going to put this down because you're going to be able to tell if I'm reading it off the phone or making it up. All right. True or false? Is there an Australian suburb called Cream Puff Corner?
I'm going to say true.
I gotta go false. That's too much.
I gotta go false.
It's true. It's in South Australia.
Come on.
I knew it. We have Australian friends, and totally.
Cream Puff Corner?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's in South Australia. You'll have to look it up.
Unbelievable.
All right. Number 2. Bong Bong Picnic Race.
Is that a suburb? Bong Bong Picnic Race?
Bong Bong Picnic Race.
I'm gonna say true again.
I'm saying true because there's a bong picnic area.
It's it's true. I'm an idiot. It is. It's
It's
Bong Bong. It's Bong Bong. Bong Bong.
Oh.
And it's I was about to tell you that it's the picnic race.
The picnic area. Oh, perfect.
They're held there.
Oh,
all right.
Okay. That's funny because I thought Bong Bong Picnic Race was a full name. I was down for that.
You did. You tried to confirm with me, and I fucked it up. All right. Okay. Mount Surprise.
Mount Surprise. That's gotta be true.
I gotta go false. Just in the rock paper scissors.
I'm with Cory. It's false just because I think it's like just weird enough that it's something that you made up.
It's true. It's
true. Come on.
Good job,
it's in Queensland. Okay, and the last one is the township of Useless Loop.
I gotta go true. It's too weird. I think it's gotta be true.
I think they're all true. Yes. These are all just weird Australian suburb names. True.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
God,
it's so funny.
They're all just weird. It's weird.
What's funny is I would think that they were New Zealand because that sounds like Hobbit stuff, but it's Australia. It's great.
We're gonna bring in the whole crew here. Here's Harlan J.
Oh man.
Here's Katie right here.
There he is.
Oh my God! Oh my gosh! Don't fight, please. Don't fight. Don't argue.
That's
Hi,
so funny.
Katie. Oh my God, I love Katie. When Katie does her intro, I say it with her like an idiot.
God.
I love that. You sound way cooler than me.
Oh my God, it's actually your voice. Listen to it, like it's coming out of your mouth.
Katie, you got a fan.
She listened to our episode and she didn't like that we were fighting over you.
Oh.
Yeah, the flowers. Are you guys ever going to come to Australia?
We would love to.
we
Yes,
have
we're gonna
we
go to
have like a
Australia.
list. We have like a list of goals that we want to do, and like I
See you later.
Right?
if there was ever a way we could do any sort of tour, do any sort of live thing, if there could be any excuse to go anywhere, we would do it. So
Oh my
And
gosh.
also, I will say, like, we look at our our stats all the time for listens and stuff, and it's like US, and then our next two, like neck and neck, is UK and Australia. Like, that's,
Oh.
like UK and Australia are UK and Australia combined, they like blow pretty much everything else away. So
Come
we
here
actually
first.
we could think of a number of excuses to go to Australia, to see some friends, to do some shows, to go to a place we've never been. So
like,
I would
Cupcake Corner.
not say that is out of the realm of possibility by any stretch.
Good.
No.
Let me know when you're coming.
Absolutely.
Australia.
It'll be Sydney.
Won't be anytime soon, obviously, but
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, thank you so much, guys.
Thank
I know
you.
you've got some other things to do. So now I can say that I have, what was I going to say? That I've already messaged you a few times. And so it's me talking to you guys for the first time ever, mostly.
Yes.
Love it.
Perfect.
And thank you. I'll let you go.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I want to thank the Bradshaw boys for being on the Run, Ride, Laugh show. Kevin, John, and Cory, thank you so much, guys. If you would like to go and follow them on social media, you will find them at the Bradshaw Boys or thebradshawboys.com. And if you see them in the street, don't forget to tip your glass.